Hello and welcome. My name is Selena Johnson, your team operations strategist. And I like to chop this into three phases. You've got the hiring phase, the onboarding, and the delegating. And quite often I hear on social media, I can't hire, I can't find the right person. Where do I get this person? So a lot of time and energy can often be worrying about the hiring, and often not enough time is focused on the onboarding and the delegating. And delegating is so key. I think it's even more important than the hiring, because I find it easy to hire. It's how do you retain that person? How do you nurture them? How do you guide them to get them up to the bar standards of your expectations? Because we can say we want these A players, but when these A players come into your business, how are you going to keep them as A players? And how are you going to motivate them and to keep them productive and to maximize their talents within the business? So if there's no development and retention there happening, it's easy for that person, then that high valued member that you brought in, to then go to somewhere else, which means then you're having a high turnover and that recurring hiring and firing cycle. So that's what I like to focus on, is getting them onboarded in the correct way to set them up for success, and then how can we retain and keep them within the business as your business grows sustainably. Because by delegating effectively, you can generate 33% more revenue. That's a huge percentage. So if you're not delegating correctly right now, if you're not utilizing your team and you're still doing a lot of the work, you're still the bottleneck of your business, you're leaking money, which I don't want for you. So if your turnover is 20K per month and you're not delegating right, you're leaving almost 7K at the table per month. That is a significant amount. So you'd be wondering now, what is delegation about? Like, how do I know if I'm delegating correctly? Let me show you. So delegating right, you're delegating right if you can take 2 months out of your business without it falling apart and still make money. You only focus on high value stuff that makes the money. So that could be in terms of retention, client delivery, partnering with somebody, joint ventures, networking. That could be the high value stuff that you do in your business. And then all the other stuff is delegated to your trusted team. You have a clear workflow that runs like clockwork. So like me, I was able to take time out of my business to go on vacation because my team knew the SOPs, they knew the procedures, they knew how to onboard new clients. You've activated your team's full potential, and we'll talk about what that looks like in later on in the session. And you fully trust your team and can let go of projects. So delegation is all about responsibility, authority, but also rewarding the team for completion of projects, but also understanding the team's strengths, their weaknesses and preferences, and playing to that. So think of any sport. When they're assigning where that team member is going to play, they wouldn't put somebody like in football, what we call football, they wouldn't put a goalkeeper in that position if they didn't have the skill sets to be a goalkeeper. So it's looking at all the individual team players within your business to see where they're best suited and making sure that that aligns with their skills and their talents. You're delegating wrong if you're constantly exhausted and stressed. You're the bottleneck and still control everything. You're holding on to all the reins and you can't let go. You're doing way too much yourself and still picking up all the pieces. If you're somebody who's working into the evenings and into the weekends, there's nothing wrong with that if there's a major project coming up. But if it's constantly you're overworking, that's not a great place to be in. You're not spending enough time on revenue generating tasks or those passion projects that you know is going to be great for the business, the next great step within the company. You're struggling to scale as you need to delegate effectively to drive results. You know there are more things your team can help with, but you don't trust them, or you just don't know what to give them. There are missed opportunities in your business with your team that they're not doing. And all these things, I love analogies, so you'll see this throughout this training. But you can see in the top, above the soil, you can see that there's all these issues that are happening that could be some of these that you are actually occurring with: lack of trust, overcapacity, you're doing it yourself, poor quality of work, micromanaging. So these could be things that are one or two or multiple things happening on an ongoing basis. And what we need to do is, rather than fixing those things, we need to go down to the deep root cause of why those things are coming to the surface. And I've highlighted these into 5 core pillars. We've got communicate, clarify, command, cultivate, and claim. And these are the 5 principles to minimize the risk of things falling apart and crumbling. And I'm going to walk you through how we can do this through this method I've created, I Love My Team method. And I created this to help to sustain and build strong teams. So I'm sharing this formula of team success with you. And it's a fundamental piece to help to unicize your team. And I'm going to give you some, we can't go through it all today because there's quite a lot to go through, but I'm going to give you 5 quick wins. So one within each of these pillars that you can start doing within your business today. And often businesses may have 1 or 2 of the pillars solidified, but then the other 3 may not be, or there may be multiple things within each of those pillars going wrong. And when that happens, it's like a domino effect that things are just rippling apart. So it's really important that we uphold all 5 areas so that as you're growing, you're scaling your business, you can move forwards without having to go 10 steps backwards.